Well, hey guys, and welcome to another tier list ranking video. We've already done one of these on CPAP machines. You really enjoyed that one. I'll leave a link to it below if you haven't checked that out. Today, we're going to be looking at some masks. Now, not every mask, because there are an awful lot of those. We don't have quite that long to spend doing this today. So instead, I'm just focusing on nasal pillow masks. So I've got the breadth of the options that we offer at RespShop.com, and I'm going to tier rank them in 4 separate tiers, and we'll get into those in just a bit. But I did just want to add a little disclaimer at the very top of this video. I'm not going to talk about the benefits of nasal pillow versus other mask styles or get into any of that or have that sort of conversation of the benefits or disadvantages of nasal pillow. I'm just going to take this for granted that you already know why someone would choose a nasal pillow and you've already decided that that's the mask style for you. So within that category, here are the masks and here is where I would place them on a scale of top tier to bottom tier. So let's take a look at what mask models we're going to be discussing today. So here we have it. We've got our 4 tiers. We've got up top, my top tier, an absolute dream. Yeah, you can see where I'm going to go with some of these puns. Sorry, I need to get better at them. Next up, almost a knockout. After that, good for a snooze. And at the very bottom we have, what a nightmare. And the 9 masks we're going to be looking at today, we've got a fair bit to get through today, is the Philips Respironics Dreamwear, the Fisher & Paykel Pilairo Q, the Fisher & Paykel Brevida, the Opus 360, ResMed AirFit P10, ResMed Swift FX, the Fisher & Paykel Solo, ResMed AirFit P30i, and last but not least, the F&P Nova Micro. Now, some of these masks are a fair bit older, some of them are new, so we're going to be looking at, because just if they're newer, does that necessarily mean that they're better? Let's find out. This is my opinion on each mask, what I found out as well by looking at a multitude of reviews across all the top CPAP sites and distributors to see also what you think, and we'll discuss some of the high level benefits and things that people commonly complain about it, and then I'll give you my opinion of where I think that they rank in this tier list. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Get ready. We're going to start off with the one and only Philips Respironics Dreamwear. So the Dreamwear has a lot of great benefits to it. First and foremost, there are lots of different sizes for the headgear and cushions, so you can really dial in the right size of mask for you and your unique head shape. There are 3 different headgear sizes, and there are 4 different cushion sizes to choose from. So you should be able to find a setup that would really work for you. The Dreamwear also has one of the top of head adjustments, so your tubing is going to fit up there, which is a great benefit often for side sleepers. I did see come up quite regularly in the reviews for this that joint can be a little bit louder than some of the ResMed style ones, and also that can be a common place where you might see some air leaks. So all of these are great things, and Philips was actually a pioneer to this top of head attachment style that the Dreamwear kind of was the first one to introduce that in. I do think that it still has some of those growing pains are showing there. And I think the more modern top of head adjustment mask can fit a little bit better, and there are less people complaining that they struggle with the leaks and it moving around in the night as they sleep. So kudos to Philips for pioneering this style of mask, but I do think that there are now better options for nasal pillow masks if you're looking for one that attaches to the top of your head. So all that being said, where am I going to put the Dreamwear? I'm going to stick it right here on good for a snooze. If you disagree, let me know in the comments below. Get involved. That's what this style of video allows us to do, which I really do enjoy. You sort of rank this kind of in the middle as well to the lower end. An average rating across the sites of 3.84 out of 5. So I think that's fair. I think that's where it belongs. So up next, we're going to do the Fisher & Paykel Pilairo Q. Now, this is an older style of mask if you haven't seen it before. It's been superseded by the Fisher & Paykel Brevida, which we'll get to after this one. So this mask attaches at the front. There are 2 different cushion options and 1 headgear size, so more limited usage compared to like the Dreamwear was. So what are some of the benefits? Well, for a nasal pillow mask, the cushion is actually pretty large, which is nice. It doesn't feel quite so claustrophobic. You don't feel quite so tight there. That is good. But it is a thinner style of cushion, and some users report that it breaks easier than the sort of modern style of masks. And because it's big, it can sometimes invert during the night. It's called a cushion inversion. As you move side to side with your head on the pillow, it can actually cause the cushion to go inside out. And of course, that then causes leaks. Another thing is the strap itself. It is very light, but it's again pretty thin and flimsy. So I've seen a number of people also complain of breakages to the clips and the strap wearing out quickly and the cushions wearing out quickly. So that is something to go against this. That being said, overall, the feedback is pretty positive for this mask. And so those might just be more isolated incidences rather than a general rule of thumb. But people that are having an issue with it do definitely talk about it a lot. And so that's something just to bear in mind. I think maybe not quite as robust as some of the more modern technologies that we've put into the silicone cushions and the like on our more modern masks. So overall, you guys rated this as 4.35 out of 5 on the reviews. And I think this kind of is fair to put in the same sort of place as the Dreamwear. I'm going to stick this in good for a snooze as well. So up next, we've got Fisher & Paykel's Brevida. Remember I said this was what came out to supersede the Pilairo Q, so should be better, right? Well, actually, we'll find that a lot of people don't really enjoy using this mask. Here's why. Put simply, it leaks too much, which is a bit of a problem when you talk about CPAP masks. It has a ball joint on the front of the mask, and that swivels as you sleep. And if you toss and turn your head quite a bit at night, some people can find that this goes too far and then does leak. And it also has the same issue as the Pilairo Q with the cushion inversion that I mentioned last time, which you would hope they would have fixed on this second go around, but that is still a persistent problem even with the Brevida. Now, people do say that the mask, when it's working properly, is very comfortable, so that's a big plus, but there's just too many complaints that I came across about people that said that the straps wore out, that the cushion was inverting and just leaking too much, and just that it would wear and tear much quicker than other models that people were using. So I think the Brevida is going to be our first induction to a category lower than we have. I'm putting it in what a nightmare. Your reviews on this one, you gave it an average rating of just 3.48 out of 5 as well. So it looks like you're kind of in agreement with me there that for the long term, this probably isn't the best nasal pillow option on the market. So next, we have another Fisher & Paykel, then we'll move on to something else. We've got the Opus 360, this kind of funky looking guy here, that the tubing runs up the center of your face. Haven't seen a mask like that in quite a while, and there's probably a good reason for it. So the Opus 360 is actually a mask that a lot of people really do like. It's easy to put on and off. It's reasonably comfortable. There are no magnets involved. It's just a Velcro system. So if you have a pacemaker, this could be a good option. It's an old style mask. There's not a huge amount of reviews on this one. So there's not a huge sample to go off, but it got reviewed highly, 4.73. So if you are in the market for something older, and you have a lower budget, a lower price point, this is a less expensive mask as well. This actually could be a good option. It doesn't work for anyone that wears glasses with the system that's there. You can actually take that tubing and put it off to the side of your face and have it look more like a snorkel. It doesn't look the most flattering, we can all see that, but it could be a good option for some people out there. So where do I rank it? I think it's only fair that I docked the Brevida from the Pilairo because I felt like it was almost a step backwards. I do think that this is better than the Pilairo, so I think it's only safe to fair to put this in almost a knockout. Oh, and one thing, by the way, with the Opus 360, the cushion on it actually curves upwards. So just make sure that you have it oriented the right way around when you're using it, because if it's what looks like would be the correct way, it's actually not, and it will cause leaks. So just keep that in mind. All right, on to a big hitter now. We're going to talk about the ResMed AirFit P10, very popular mask. So this one is one of the lightest and smallest nasal pillow masks available. Not the most, we'll get to that one in just a bit. But this has been a mask that is very popular to use alongside like the Air Mini. There's a kit designed specifically for that CPAP, but also any CPAP unit that you might use, you could use this mask as well. And as a nasal pillow, it's almost considered the standard. And there's good reason for that. It's very, very comfortable, easy to use, easy to slip on and off, and it provides just a great user experience all around. But it's not without its faults. There are quite a few users who say that they struggle to find a cushion that really seals well to their nostrils with this mask, even though they've come from other masks and had no problem finding cushions that worked for them there. They are pretty small pillows, which can also cause a couple of things. Number one, when you exhale against this mask, it can feel like a bit of a burden that you have to exhale harder, which can lead to things like feeling claustrophobic and also just less comfort, or you might feel like you're really struggling to catch air properly. But these complaints are few and far between over the mass of reviews of this mask, and overall the user experience is very high. There were some users who also complained about noise. Now bear in mind I said that there is a setup pack to use the P10 with the Air Mini, and the Air Mini can often be the culprit of that noise. So I'm a bit suspect that maybe they were using it in that setup, and that was actually causing the noise more so than the mask itself. So this is a great mask, guys. It's been around for a while. There are now newer masks that are kind of building off the design of the P10 and trying to sort of fight it for its dominance. So I'm gonna have to put it as our first inductee into an absolute dream. Yeah, it's a great mask. If you're looking for a nasal pillow, solid option. So let's stick with ResMed. We'll talk about the Swift FX, a lesser known, slightly older style of mask. So the Swift FX has a few things that are a little bit different about it. One of the most unique features about this mask is it has the over the ears strap option. So if you don't like having straps all around your head, this is kind of a unique setup for someone, particularly if you're a back sleeper, that can actually be really comfortable, and people that try it can like it. It can dig into the skin here. I find that I'm a little sensitive to that, but I find if I use this for too long, it does feel like it's rubbing a little bit. I don't find it the most comfortable, but I'm in the minority for that when I look through the reviews on this mask. So if you find that you're a back sleeper, you want to try something a bit different, then this could well be an option for you. Even though it's an older style mask, that style of headgear hasn't really caught on with newer mask models. So again, there could well be a reason for that. Maybe there were other users who also found the experience to be a little bit less comfortable than the traditional sort of strap style. But overall, a noble attempt at something different. I'm always fond and keen to push innovation in the CPAP industry. We definitely need more of that. Also bear in mind that there's only one headgear size for this model. So I did see a number of users who just couldn't get the mask to fit them well, even trying all the different cushion style sizes, just because the headgear was the problem. And it also can leave some red marks on your cheek. So it's not a perfect mask by any means. It got an average rating with you guys though of 4.41. So that's pretty solid. Not by as many reviewers as some of the more popular masks, but still, there's still a place for it. So I'm going to put this one in the same category as the others, as good for a snooze. I think it's a good option, but there are probably better ones. And unless you really want that different kind of style, there's probably better options for you out there. So on next, a very different style of mask, Fisher & Paykel Solo. Now I've done a couple videos on this one, talked about how that seatbelt system works. Very revolutionary, very cool. This doesn't have any straps that you need to tighten. It all self-tightens itself. You put the mask over your head, you adjust the cushion like so, and it's supposed to conform and fit your head shape. But I'll be honest, I haven't really used it for an extended period of time to really get to grips with it. And I found just a lot of complaints about this mask online. One of the things that people often mention is the exhaust vent at the front of the cushion is loud, more so for the bed partner than the user itself. So if you sleep alone, this might not be an issue, but if you are sharing the bed with someone, many people complain that their partner has been telling them that this is one of the loudest masks that they've ever heard. So that's something to bear in mind. Also, while the idea of the extension, the seatbelt extension straps being pretty innovative and cool, it seems like it's not quite dialed in just yet. And a lot of people complain that it does shift off them during the night. Now, there is specific ways that you are supposed to put this mask on, and the Fisher & Paykel app will walk you through that. But even still, found just a lot of people found a lot of slipping on this headgear as they try to use it. So in its current form, I don't feel like this is a mask I can really fully endorse. I have friends that use this mask as well, and they're actually shifting to a different model because they've just found it unusable. I've also seen reviews out there that after 4 to 6 weeks, that some people have found that their mask has lost the tension in the straps there. So then at that point, it became useless for them. So you gave this an average rating of 3.56. So also pretty low. So I know I started by saying I like this mask. I do. I can't in good conscience put this up higher when I know that right now it's not being that well received. So I'm going to put this down here with the Brevida, but I'm going to bookend that by saying I think it's the start of something that could be quite exciting. And I really hope Fisher & Paykel continues to develop this technology. But for now, I'm afraid you're on the dark side, Solo. Keep working on it. All right, next up, ResMed AirFit P30i, a very popular mask from a very popular manufacturer. And one of the strongest things that this mask has going for it is that there are very little reports of people saying that it leaks consistently in a certain part of the mask. Usually, if a mask is susceptible to leaking at a certain point, you'll see that crop up a lot in reviews. Despite this having a very wide adoption and many people choosing to use the AirFit P30i, there isn't really that consistency of where leaks are coming from if there are people complaining about that. So that's a big, big plus. It's also got the top of head attachment point, very much like the Dreamwear has, but this one seems to be more robust, and so it's a really great option for side sleepers. I actually recently did a review on the channel on this mask. I'll link it above me and in the description below. If you look at the comments on that video, you might think that a lot of people find that this leaks a lot for side sleepers, or when it's pressed against the side of the head when they're lying there. But it seems like that's, again, in the minority. If you look at the vast number of reviews and people using this mask, that's not really brought up very often. But that does mean that if it isn't working for you, or there's something you don't like about it, it seems to really be a barrier to a lot of people. So it's definitely worth trying out. Bear in mind, with all of these masks, if you do buy them on RespShop.com, we have a 30-day mask guarantee. So you can give them a trial run for a few weeks. If there's something about that mask that doesn't sit well with you, you just don't like that style, you can always return it to us and try a different model. So that's a massive benefit for shopping with us. So head on over to RespShop.com to check out any of these masks. I'll leave descriptions to them below. So all in all, this is a really solid, comfortable mask. The only thing I will say is it only has one size for the headgear. So if you have a particularly large or a particularly small head, it might not fit you even when you're trying the different cushion styles. But for most people, the fit is really good. The seal is really good. The user experience overall is very positive. The average reviews for this got 4.47, so also very high, and that's a lot of reviews, a lot of people talking about that. And I do really enjoy this mask as well. So I know it's another ResMed mask, and I hate to do this, but they are the leaders in this industry for a reason. I'm going to put it in an absolute dream. Hey, check this out. Look what I just learned I can do. Woo! I have to start doing that. So yeah, that one makes it into my top tier as well, which means we have one mask left, the Fisher & Paykel Nova Micro. I left this till the end because I think my opinion on this is probably a little controversial, because if you were to look at this mask online, you would never buy it because of the reviews on it are pretty negative by and large. It has an average rating from you of 3.45. I really like this mask, and I know I said that for the Solo too, but I really like the Nova Micro. It's so small, so lightweight. When I wear it, I barely feel like I'm wearing a CPAP mask at all. And these aren't the most sleek, modern, comfortable devices. As you know, that's not why people start using CPAP machines. It's not for the cool factor. But the Nova Micro, I think, is really a step in the right direction of having a lightweight mask that really is not constricting and really feels enjoyable to use. Now, obviously, that means that being small and light, that it has more susceptibility to being knocked around in the night, coming loose and causing leaks. And that's what almost all of the negative reviews focus around. Now, it could just be that I have a head shape that's well conformed to it and it works well for me. I would also say I talked to the Fisher & Paykel rep about this and why a lot of people were complaining about the mask fit not being ideal on the Nova Micro. And a lot of it seems to be, in their opinion, down to how they're being fitted. So if you use a Nova Micro, you're thinking about it, there's a couple of things to try, and I might do a full video on this, but just as an at a glance, when you put it on, it has this sort of the strap that breaks in half here. Make sure those are as wide apart as possible, coming up your head and down like so. And also make sure when you fit your mask in that smaller nasal pillow cushion that you're doing so with the seal, with your pressure at its maximum, because that's going to fill and push that out. And then when the pressure is off on your machine, it will feel pretty loose, honestly. It would feel like you want to tighten it, but don't. Leave it where it is. And then as the pressure comes on, it's going to fill out that cushion with that air, and it's then going to tighten the straps for you. So oftentimes what can happen is people, once they feel that they're leaking, they'll crank it and make it tighter and tighter. But actually, that can make the problem worse. As counterintuitive as it may sound, sometimes you actually need to make it looser and looser. So don't throw away the Nova Micro. If you're having issues with the mask, try it at a looser setting. If it's still not working for you, no problem. It might not be the right fit, but I do really like this mask. Like I said, because it's not being enjoyed by a lot of people, I feel like I can't put it in an absolute dream, but I'm going to put it as close as I can. I'm going to put it in almost a knockout, and I hope Fisher & Paykel keep going down this route of trying to innovate, trying masks like the Solo, like the Nova Micro. They're a little bit different, pushing the boundaries some, because that's what we need. So there you go, guys. That is my tier list for the nasal pillow masks that we sell on RespShop. Be sure to go over to our website, check some of these out. If any of them that I mentioned to you sound like they could be the right fit for you, get in touch with our team. We'll be happy to talk with you more about that. Be sure to like the video, subscribe so you don't miss any new content, and get involved. Let me know in the comments below where you agree or disagree with where I've put some of these masks. I know you guys like to tell me where you disagree with me, but that's cool. I'm all here for that. So as always, sleep tight, and I'll catch you on the next one.